So here we have 5 sisters.
Pony sisters.
We're Pony sisters. Sisterhooves social panel, the way it's been done in the past is basically it's kind of our perspective on various fandoms, being women in typically very male-dominated fan bases, and just our experiences and stories. It's very kind of...
It's pretty loose.
It's pretty loose, yeah. So we're going to introduce ourselves. Folks who don't know me or who may have seen me around, my name is Sophie Ardinger, also known as Diamondia Doodle. I am the vice chair of BABSCon and on their board of directors. And to my right here, I have...
I'm Catie Wayne, and some of you may know me better as the girl that plays Boxy on the internet. On the internets, on the www.youtubes.com.
Totally interneted. Like awesome internet
But
stuff.
yeah, so that's who I am. And that's Chris.
And here to my left we have...
I'm Kira, also known as Rina-chan in the fandom. I used to do Twilight Sparkle voice matches for a lot of parodies and other things like that. I did Mayor Marin, Fighting is Magic, Colgate, and a lot of Colgate animations and song collaborations and other stuff. And if you just were at the Friendship is Witchcraft showing, I did Sunset Shimmer for their new episode.
Just call me Kiwi, the guy who's going to miss his autograph signing due to Chris, who's on the other end.
I love you, Matt.
And here on the far side of Catie here, we have somebody who needs a microphone in front of him.
I don't need a microphone.
Oh, I already introduced him, though.
She's got this.
What's your
Okay.
name?
Katie introduced me.
All right, Catie introduced me.
All right, so let's get this thing going. If any of you have any questions, that pertain to the topic of the panel, being, females in a generally male-dominated fandom, whether it be pony or just, the internet in general, or anything like that.
Pretty much almost anything. We're pretty open and chatty here, so
I
it's
guess
all
that's
unofficial.
fair. Or any other kind of questions you may have. Yeah, anyone have any questions? Just raise your hand. Great, we're off to a fantastic start.
I love this panel already. You guys are amazing. Oh, we have a question.
Should we answer this one at a time?
Yeah.
Shall we?
Why not? We did that last year.
Tell us about that, Chris.
He has many experiences with that.
I don't want to be here.
Women Honor Society.
It's a nice color for you.
Aw, you don't have to. You can go sit down if you want. Otherwise,
Now,
Chris is totally going to kill me the next time we game together.
for myself, I find that that's hard for me to avoid in general, but I do. I have my own version of it because I'm somewhat in the public eye on my own, but I do, when I become a fan of something, I definitely go through a period of time where I don't talk about the fact that I'm part of the fandom. I often have to kind of make a deal about being okay, well... I often have to make a big deal about please forgive the term because it's not even worth comparing the two, but a coming out of sorts. It's I have to come out on social media or actually make a video about yeah man, I'm a fan of this thing, come at me. It's a little bit frightening for sure.
Certainly is. I'm kind of actually the same way. I don't advertise my gender, especially on the internet. I game a lot. I do a lot of online gaming and voice chats, and I generally avoid actively being on a voice chat until I know the people I'm gaming with. Invariably, I get one person, at least one, in every time I start gaming who's like, oh my god, a girl! Oh my god, a girl! Yeah, that girl just fragged you. Now shut up and play the game. Pardon my language, but I mean it
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Is this a PG panel? I can't remember.
it probably is. So we should
Okay, it's
probably
a
be
PG
careful.
panel. Okay.
We should probably be careful. I mean, we are during PG hours, so we
Yes.
should-
All
okay.
right. Cool.
All right,
It
sweet.
is a PG panel.
But
Great.
yeah, no, it pays to be cautious because you never know. I mean, you just never know. But yeah, no, I'm not afraid, but I'm wary would be a better term for me.
Yeah.
It certainly can be. Yeah.
Yeah. Rina.
Rina?
I've always been pretty open with the things I like, but the thing that I have noticed is a lot of people on the internet tend to judge females more harshly for liking certain things because they want you to prove that you're a real fan and that
Yeah.
you know what you're talking about. And when I first joined like my current major fandom, which is the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fandom, I had some people be like, "Oh, well, do you even know what this character did in this part and this and that?" And like just like quizzing me almost. And I don't know, I thought that was like kind of offensive because it's like I have like guy friends who, you know, maybe they cosplay from the series, but they're not really that knowledgeable on it, and you don't see people asking them that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So.
like if you're a girl and you're a fan of anything, you have to be like the biggest hardcore fan, know everything about every aspect of that particular fandom, or else you're just faking it for attention because that's all any girls do ever is try to get male attention, right?
I used to get that a lot I used to do competitive Smash Brothers and other kinds of competitive gaming, and people would think like if you dressed up nice for a tournament or this and that, oh, you want attention. And it's like, no, maybe we just don't want to look like a slob when we go out to an event that is also a social event, you know?
Yeah.
I have to agree with both
no.
of these folks. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
that's fine. I'm just really here to be eye candy, you know, like every other girl. I saw a hand raised over here.
No, I was just going to say, to be fair, there's an element of the fandom that just, of any fandom that tends to view any hardcore fans as idiots no matter what.
Well, that's true, but
As what? I'm sorry.
as idiots.
Oh.
Any hardcore fans are viewed as idiots by certain elements.
Uh-huh.
But I think I agree with you that,
Sets up a little bit of a can't win scenario.
Sure.
Yes, it does.
So much, there's the emasculated because you're too nerdy, and then there's the, oh, you're not male at all, and they just favor you one way or the other, and you don't leave them around.
Yeah, sure.
So as far as culture, gaming, and that goes, what do we do to change that?
Well, that's a really, really good question. I take the same approach personally with that as I do when dealing with, say, I don't know, VAs or stars or actors or actresses or famous directors or pretty much any public speaking person. I think the way we need to address that is they're people just like you. So when you have more people taking that perception, it gets a lot easier for everybody, I think. But as far as how to change it, I don't know, actually. I don't have a good...
You know, I'm afraid I didn't quite hear the question.
What can we do to change that?
What can we do to change what? Like
That.
the no-win scenario for anybody?
Yes.
It seems like there's some protocol or things we can do. It might be as simple as just calling it out.
I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely a matter of more people speaking out against it, against, you know, emasculating, you know, nerdy boys, and also, you know, grilling, you know, young girls, and, you know, like, I think that she makes an excellent point about we're all people, and whatever extent of a fan you are, you know, you're still a fan and deserve the same amount of respect as anybody.
I think I'm just remembering to treat people like people regardless of their gender, you know, sexuality, anything like that. Just try to think, okay, this is an individual person and not really like apply your stereotypes or, this or that. Like sometimes if people are like, oh, girls are too emotional or this or that, and then every time they interact with women, even without realizing it, they're kind of like applying that stereotype that they have in their head, and so their interactions don't go as well. Or even like you see it sometimes with women ourselves. We're like, oh, I don't want to be friends with other girls because they're so catty and stuff like that. And attitudes like that, I think, are really what can prevent you from having those strong relationships with other people.
Attitudes like that they're so harmful because you're automatically like, and it goes both ways, right? Where like girls are like, oh, I'm only friends with guys, or, vice versa. It's like you're gonna cut out an entire gender of people that you could meet and interact with. That's a decision you're gonna make. Okay.
That's like half the population of the planet.
Right?
And frankly, I've got better things to do than to make half the population of the planet go live over there so I can be left alone.
It's also just like making yourself more aware of like these things, I think.
I did see. Oh yeah. Oh yes. No. I saw her hand first. Yeah. We'll come back. I don't. I mean, the internet.
I can give you. There's a couple of places. There's one.
Oh, he said Google.
Google.com. Google.com is a good place to search. There's a couple of actual places I can direct you to. T Fury is one. I'm trying to think. Blue Box Tees occasionally does pony shirts as well. Those are two that come to mind.
One thing that I like doing as well is getting like a big like guys like pony t-shirt and then just cutting it up and doing cool stuff with it. You can look at like t-shirt cutting tutorials, and that's really fun.
You can be a trendsetter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel that there's a kind of negative perception where they try and say, oh, well, men can be whatever, you have to be sort of
Do you think that that's true?
No, I'm saying do you believe that people are trying to apply that to you and look at it and say, hey, you guys are really thinking you have to be in this kind of category, you represent yourself in a certain way.
Can I just comment to say that there have been female stand-ups since the 30s? Thank you. When it started, I was like, oh, no.
No.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, I don't think that he's if I yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I think that yeah. About, we gotta talk about, Yeah? No?
No, I was.
Oh, okay.
He keeps.
Yeah. So you're asking, do you ever feel like that perception is put upon us as women? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, just my own very, personal, specific experience. I can't really speak to anyone else, but I make YouTube videos and stuff, and I oftentimes dress up in characters, and whether my characters are female or male or whatever, I got different characters that I do, and sometimes I put on like a 5 o'clock shadow kind of thing, and I'm like a dude. And I started receiving criticisms that all of my male characters were stupid and violent and arrogant and sexist, and like, oh, like that's so awful that's how you see all men. And I had to like stop them for a second, and I was like, okay, but like with the exception of Boxy, who's like a little ray of sunshine, all of my female characters are like that as well. They're all rude and arrogant and violent, and so like the fact that you're singling out my male characters as like a way to attack me and say that I view all men that way, it's like, no, I view stupid people that way. And whether you're male or female and you're stupid, I'm like gonna call you out on your stupid. but I do definitely think that has been applied to me as well. That's like a specific story.
Yeah, that's a very specific story.
Sorry.
I'm a second generation pen and paper role player, and I play war games. And let me tell you something. When you want to talk about perceptions, I go, yeah, I have a coworker who plays Warhammer, and he's like, yeah, I play Warhammer. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. What army do you play? Eldar, Chaos Marine. Do you play the whatchamacallit, the skeleton people, the Necrons? And his eyes got really wide. You know Warhammer? Yeah, I know Warhammer. I remember when it first came out. I mean, there's this perception that there are certain things that we can't possibly know about because, we have a different anatomy for some reason, and that prohibits us from like learning anything. I don't know. But yeah, no, I've seen it. I've encountered it, and it's scary how prevalent it tends to be without us even realizing it sometimes.
One thing that I've noticed, especially in terms of, women in comedy or this or that, a lot of times people don't, instead of attacking like, oh, I don't think that this joke that they made was funny or whatever, they attack them based on their looks because that's like the most shallow thing they can go for instantly. Sometimes I've argued with people on the internet, and instead of like actually attacking my argument and like fighting back with that, they just say like, oh, well, you're ugly, you're overweight, stuff like that. And it's like, that didn't have anything, like any relevance to the discussion or what we were talking about. And you see like the same thing, it's even female political leaders, people just jump to, bash on their looks and stuff like that. And you don't see that as much with the men. It does happen to men too, but I would say that in general, women have more of a problem of like, people just judge them for how they look and not what they're saying.
Before a woman can be smart or funny or any other kind of great qualities, they have to be pretty. They must first earn the approval of the male gaze before they can have any other kind of individual personality traits of their own. And that's not okay. And I am aware that men do certainly, suffer from it, but not to the same extent. How many attractive presidents have we had? I mean, really? Because we don't judge men purely based on their physical appearance. We see them as whole people. We see them as like, oh, well, he's very athletic or very intelligent, very quick-witted. He's very clever. Any sort of plethora of personality traits that have nothing to do with, God, those shoes are awful.
like totally shoes. Yeah, no. And I agree. There's this sense of you don't look the part, therefore you can't be the part. This gentleman here had his hand up earlier.
Can I add to the previous question?
What?
I would like to just
be
add
my
something
guest.
to the previous question. If you ever want to understand what it feels like to get like that type of stereotype put upon you, look around. We're in a brony convention. We are part of a thing that should never, in what it was planned to, was never supposed to happen. And me, I'm in the army. I go around with a brony t-shirt, and then I have people stare at me all the time. They'll be like, so, like ponies, huh? How's that pink going for you? And then I'll just be like, let's do 40 push-ups right now. Can I do them? Yeah, I can. It's all about what you're actually interested in. And once we see that people should be judged by what they're interested in instead of their race, sex, or anything of those, then we can start changing a few things with how people look at and the 50% of the world.
I really appreciate that you're participating in this panel in a significant way.
This is
This is
awesome.
really great.
This is awesome. We need to get Shadow.
Can I be
We
kicked?
need to
I want to
mic
get my
for Shadow.
autograph.
I'm just giving him a hard time. I game with him regularly.
Yeah.
This gentleman actually.
Oh, no, yeah, that's right. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, most of it is just, I've been agreeing with you guys on what you've been talking about, and I noticed something else that usually, whenever I'm on the internet, right, and I'm going into comments, and it's like someone pointing out one of the issues that we're having, right, like how it's what was it, like the portrayal of women in gaming, for example, it's like, whenever there's like a team of men, and then you have like one girl that's like the woman that plays the woman, right, and it's like we want more variety. It's like I'm like, yeah,
it's like, I tried pointing it out one time, and a friend of mine was all like, but the thing is, it's supposed to say this consistent style. It's supposed to look like this, you know? But
No, continue.
it's like, sorry, wait.
No, you don't.
It's existed in comic book form as far back as the 30s.
Right, 'cause it's like there was one point where it's like they're bringing up like Disney movies, right? And a lot of the males have like very different complex facial structures, right? But then they look at the woman and they're, you know, it's like a lot of them have a very similar, you know, curved face, and it's like
With an upturned nose, by the way. Tiny, adorable button
yes,
nose.
yes.
yeah, and I'm like, it's super cool if like, you know, if we had like women with different faces, right? I mean, how cool would that be? But my friend, you know, like some people would be like, yo, that's just, you know, that's the in-house style, and I'm like.
Well, there's an interesting theory on that, which I will hopefully address later in the panel. I'm not going to, because it's really long. But
Okay.
there's an interesting psychological thing about
Yeah.
that. It has to do with how attractiveness is determined over a large percentage of the population. It's actually very complex and very interesting. Essentially, there are a certain string of features that to the eye are more attractive versus others. And it's weird because for males, that set of features is actually wider than it is for females. I don't know why that is, but no. Actually, the subjective appearance based on an individual's preference. If you survey 100 people, there's a number of features that come out as being the most attractive. And as a result, a lot of artists build their characters around that. And it's weird because for guys, there's a wider range of that than there are for women.
Don't you think, I mean, this is like a really half-baked thought, but like that, and I haven't done any kind of research whatsoever on this topic, but couldn't that have something to do with the fact that like women and, you know, people in general are taught to look at men and all different types of men as full people with their own different types of face shapes and stuff, whereas women are Barbies, or they're supposed to be anyway.
Sorry. I was being a vice chair for a second.
Oh, dear.
You're right. I think there is a part of it, too, that comes from, I think some of it actually comes from our societal conditioning as well.
Yeah, I think so.
But at the same time, there's two parts to it. There's what society teaches us, and then there's what's innately wired into us. And somewhere along the line, there's a crossover.
I have one thing to add to that.
Sure.
Because I learned about that in school.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting about that study is when they do the same study with children under the age of 3, they still use the same faces.
Really?
And that's the part that stuck out to me because it wasn't about what they learned. It was something.
It's
That's
innate.
interesting.
So just to counter that, there's all sorts of behaviors and beliefs that are observable in 17-month-old babies. So the learning begins the minute a baby exists. And the observance of a behavior is just confirmation that that behavior exists. It's not evidence of the origin.
Right.
Until we can like discover the actual pathway, like some sort of biological pathway or sociological pathway, we can only observe a phenomenon. We can't prove what causes it until we observe.
Yeah. I saw you've had your hand up for a while.
Thank you. I'm new to the fandom whole phenomena, and I was wondering how, because of the ethos of the brony phenomena and My Little Pony, is it different than other fandoms? Is there more acceptance of the feminine in general? Or is that just a hope that...
I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I personally, from the brony community, have received very little to no backlash or trying to like shove me out, but that's me personally. I can't speak to that.
I can't speak to how I've been treated, but I can actually say that honestly, the Brony community has the reverse stigma. Guys that are typically fans of the show typically get that stigma rather than women.
But don't you, like within the community,
No,
like
not within the community. Within the community, no. Most things seem to be pretty equal within the community.
Yeah, pretty much agree with that. Because, I mean, in the end, it's like if somebody's going to be like, you can't be a woman in the Brony fandom, they'd be like, but the show was originally written for girls. Like, you can't really argue with. But I think the community overall has done, like, a good part in breaking down, like, gender roles and expectations. So it's really cool.
Anon had his hand up for a while,
Oh,
too.
okay.
My question is around, have you had any personal experiences that have given you a little faith in you, more faith in your cause, seeing that progress has been made in this field of trying to create more equality?
Have we seen process? Is that progress? Oh, okay. I was like I don't know what that means.
Have things improved?
I think so. I mean, yeah, man. Like in general, I think that now more than ever, more women and other genders, from male, female, everything in between, are speaking up and demanding to be heard and demanding to be respected as people and equals. And I think that that's like a giant step in the right direction.
It's a huge step in the right direction. I as a predominantly a hardcore gamer, video gamer, I have to say that yes, these days, especially within the last 5 or 10 years or so, I don't get as much flack. I don't have as many people saying, "Oh my God, you can't like that. You're a girl." I don't get that as much. I actually don't get that at all. I have folks where I work come to me and say, "Hey, I've got a person who wants a game. Why are you coming to me?" Because you know games. So less and less. It still occasionally happens, but there's been massive improvement, especially, like I said, within the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I think overall there's just more awareness being raised and things like that. Like even 5 years ago, just like in groups of, people hanging out and playing games or whatever, if one of the guys had made a sexist joke, then all the other guys would be like, yeah, that's so funny. And now I can think of a lot of situations where if somebody made that same joke, people would be like, dude, what's wrong with you? That's not cool. So I think there's a lot more, now people are saying like, okay, this isn't okay. And with any kind of like prejudiced attitude, I think once it, when people realize, oh, people aren't going to support me, like I'm going to look bad for thinking this way, then it maybe kind of helps shift those attitudes.
Yeah, I think that the key is that maybe rather than just being, silenced, it's maybe making people that originally thought that way reconsider the way it was. I mean, I know that I personally was like a huge, like just a few years ago, when I was like 16, 17, I was really like, oh, the kind of girl that was like, I don't hang out with girls. They're so, catty and like, oh, girls that play video games are just doing it for attention. And, like that was a real attitude that I had. And that's definitely like shifted for me because somewhere along the line I realized that girls can, have like full personality types and can like a full range of things. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I love this.
This is awesome. So awesome.
First of all, welcome to the herd.
Herd.
Second
What
of
was
all,
this?
Second of all is when I first joined the fandom, it was with the cafeteria song of EQG.
No.
Yeah, but because I was on the internet and then I'd see suggested for you a pony video. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give it one shot. But once I got into the fandom, I realized this is probably the most close-knit group of a fandom, I guess, that I can be in. I was in the Whovians. However, this fandom, I say, is whenever I meet someone else, because of My Little Pony, it doesn't really matter about what we like. Even political views, I can guarantee that if we were to have a political talk, that we'd probably get into an argument. But because of a show that we all enjoy, that we all like, because of that, we have so much diversity, and some people like it, male, female, no matter what race, like I said before. And because of that, I feel like a lot of people can be safe in this fandom too. That no matter who you are, we'll accept you, we'll love you, give you a little pat on the back, go have fun.
Yay, good answer. You, young lady. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
So I was wondering if each of you could share an example of like, where someone said something sexist or whatever, and then either you or a friend said something back and like made you something or
Mm-hmm. I, yeah, definitely.
Of course, the boys.
I think that you're definitely right. It's really it's really hard in the moment to know, I think that a large part of it is because the problem, and it's a very obvious one that most people have, like said over and over again. Some people on the internet can be particularly nasty because they don't fear any consequences. They're hiding behind a computer screen, so any interaction isn't real. And so for myself, it's really like, do I actually want to engage this person? Or is it just going to, cause more harm than good? Is anything that I say actually going to get through to this person? If you think so, if you think that this person is just generally like genuinely misguided or something, something that my friend has, used time and time again that really seems to work is you just stay perfectly calm and you say you really and not even necessarily specifically to this person. You can just say, if you believe this, you really need to think about what you're saying. Like, really think about and understand why you feel this way. And really go down the line. For example, the Oscars this year were incredibly white, and so my friend was speaking out against that and being like, that's super not cool. And then a bunch of people came up and said, well, maybe all of the performances that were the best this year just happened to be white people. And it was and so she just made a tweet that just said, the people that are saying that the best performances happen to be white people really need to think about what you're saying. What are the odds? Really? Or is it more maybe the Academy just kind of glossed over the people of color performances, it's... So I found that tactic to be very effective. Just think about what you're saying. Really think about it.
I'm more of a shower and a doer than I am a talker.
Mm-hmm.
I had an incident about a year ago where I was gaming online with a bunch of folks, and it came out that I was gaming with my boyfriend. We had a 4-person team, and they're like, yeah, you're here to support your girlfriend, yada, 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 yada. The rest of the team wiped, leaving, little old me all by myself. And shortly after watching me play and do crazy ass stuff to pull our collective bacons out of the fire, they're like, oh my God, she's awesome, yeah. So I've seen that. I'm never really certain what to say about it. I think you're right. The think about it is good. Being a gamer, I come from the school of put up or shut up. But that's definitely very valid, because you can't always show.
I personally think that if it's especially a friend, acquaintance, family member that you're trying to talk to, if you come off as really aggressive or yelling or emotional, people generally don't take that very well. So I think a lot of times when people say something that maybe is kind of prejudice or this or that, they don't understand that they're doing it, or they don't understand why it's wrong. So, by just telling them nicely, like, well, this is why you could actually hurt somebody with what you're saying, I think that will make people want to understand and learn, or they'll just be like, because if you just yell at them, they'll be like, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too, whatever. So I think, obviously if it's like an internet troll, then you don't even want to bother to engage them. But if it's like, assuming it's somebody you care about with any, like, I don't know, I've seen people be like, oh, I'll just defriend somebody from Facebook if they like say something that in the slightest goes against my beliefs. And it's like, well, if you care about this person in any extent, maybe you should try to like help them understand so that they can change their attitude. Because if we want to change the way that people think, we kind of have to, help them realize. And I've been on the receiving end of that, where I've had friends be like, hey, so this thing that you're thinking you're doing is not really right. And because they explained it to me without like, yelling at me, then I didn't get so defensive about it and was willing to learn.
Definitely. I think that staying calm and matter of fact about the situation is definitely key. And no one wants to feel like they're doing something wrong. Like, so I think that staying calm and nice and compassionate is definitely a really huge thing.
We need to get you a mic.
Slide the mic. Since more than likely, although they pointed some... What did I do wrong?
No, I think that was Catie trolling you.
No, I didn't.
Internet troll, everyone. Okay, so they pointed out they talked about some great things about if you're on the receiving end. I also want to talk about the people who are on the bystanding, because more than likely, you're going to be on the bystand of this thing. You're going to be on the one on the side who's hearing it, or maybe you're the friend of the person, or wherever you are. What I want to actually tell people is probably to stop ignoring it. Don't act like, if you think in your mind that it's wrong, then more than likely it is. We all have a moral code, we have a moral clock, and it's working. If we choose to ignore, of course there's jokes, we all know that, but if we choose to ignore where we think is wrong, then we're just gonna let it keep happening and we'll never let anything change. So if you do see your friend, they're getting something said against them, and you can clearly see that's not a joke or that it's meant to hurt someone, really do something. Because especially if you're the friend, who are they gonna go for? You can't just let them stand up for themselves.
To build on that, we were talking about how you were reacting, if you're defending yourself, and then obviously comes across as, well, okay, you got a dog in this fight, so on and so forth. If someone else comes in, that's when we get to the point of, okay, society tells us to control it. That's not acceptable. That's how we get to that next stage from you can't even talk back at all to yourself, to other people.
Yeah, I think that that's totally valid as well. If you see someone, struggling in some kind of argument, and you think that one person on one side of the argument is correct, you should definitely step up and try to be a friend.
If I can add a little bit of experience, it wasn't help at all. So it's like there was a Facebook post that I made a while ago that was like arguing from like a point, and I was like thinking a point about again, portrayal of woman in gaming, right? And it's having absolutely no support, because it's like you're trying to make a point, and they keep telling you it's like your points are very exaggerated, or it's like you're not making any sense, and it's like, but they're valid points, and all you're really doing is dissing the fact that supporting their views and whatnot. So it's like, I do agree, it's very important for people to step up. If you see somebody just kind of having a really hard time and no one's really supporting them, it's like, well, it's gonna make them speak up less. So it's like with a group of people helping you out, it's definitely gonna get you, to get the point across.
Definitely.
Do you feel that because of the Brony event, that it's kind of helped change the nature of the dialogue about this issue by providing kind of a really clear reverse example for men as like, hey, look, here's where men are being, the outside world, oh, you're going against your gender. Down here, that help kind of further the idea of when you actually saying, oh yeah, well, this is a guy going to something similar, that now you kind of understand
I'm afraid I'm not understanding, but I'm like sick and tired, so it's maybe just me.
I think I understand what you're asking. It has the rise of the brony community, for lack of a better term, made it easier to have that dialogue. Yes, I think to a degree, yes. I can't think of any specific examples.
Yeah.
I can kind of think of one that I've seen is now because you have all these, especially brony parents and stuff, and they have like their little boys wanting to play with the ponies and stuff like that, and then, people being like, well, that's girls' toys, you can't play with that. And so there's definitely been more of a movement for people to be like, well, why do we have to have boys' toys and girls' toys? Why can't we just let our kids play with whatever toys they want? And especially now that there's a lot more awareness for, people kind of like exploring gender identities and realizing that, you don't have to be like one or the other, and you can kind of explore what's in between. I think that things like that, like having, letting kids express different gender however they want and stuff like that is definitely helpful.
Yeah. Yes. Online and stuff.
I think it's important to remember that a lot of these people think that they're right.
Mm-hmm.
They sincerely believe that they're right. And they're probably not right, but they should be addressed keeping in mind that they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to respond to people who treat them like idiots. They're going to respond more likely to people who treat them like equals. If you go at them like enemies, they aren't going to give you anything. They're not going to get it. They're just going to get nastier.
Mm-hmm.
And if you engage them calmly and give and take, kind of just accept that they think and believe and genuinely believe that they have a point, then they're more likely to accept that you might have a point.
Yeah.
And since, coming from the assumption that, we're right, the assumption should then be that we'll eventually prove ourselves right and they will be conservative too.
And maybe just kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was going to say also just understanding where they're coming from, especially people raised in like certain areas, like even in the United States, or if you're trying to talk to older relatives who maybe they have like a generational difference and things were just different when they were growing up, so they don't understand certain things as much, like gender issues and things like that. And so, understanding that they're just coming from a different perspective and trying to help them see yours, I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid, what both of you were saying. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Halloween Brony. And I don't know if we can talk about Big Sisters versus Bronies, like the name, because I posted this one video called Things Bronies Shouldn't Say. I got this really weird backlash thing when I said something a brony should say is Big Sisters can call themselves bronies too if they want. They're saying, oh, everybody should be called a brony, whether they're male or female. And I don't know.
Well, I think that that's a personal decision, however you want to label yourself. I personally don't like the term Pegasister because it sounds dumb to me. But and also I like the term brony, and I think that there is some validity in the sense that we're all one fandom, the way that fans of Doctor Who call themselves Whovians, and then they don't call the females the Hervians or whatever, it's just we're a
Companions.
fandom, it's for everyone, precisely.
It is for everyone, and speaking to that again, I've actually heard now 3 different terms for fans of My Little Pony at this point. I've heard brony, I've heard Pegasister, and I've heard Pony Sister. In fact, I have a ribbon that says Pony Sister on it. I'm of a belief that labels can be just as beneficial as they are harmful, and that labels are a very personal thing. If you want to call yourself a pony sister, that's fine. If you want to call yourself a Pegasus sister, that's fine.
Yep.
If you want to call yourself a brony, hey, that's fine too. Where literally this entire convention is one big herd.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
These ladies pretty much said everything that was what I would say on the subject.
Yeah, it's a personal preference thing. Totally.
Totally awesome. Like, yeah.
Does anyone else have a question? Yeah.
Bit more of a personal one, since Sophie mentioned gaming so much.
Okay.
What games do all of you play, and include the mobile ones too, because a lot of people really good.
Oh, we're going to be here for a while if I have to list every game I play. I'll let you start.
Okay. I play Nintendo games mostly. I'm not very. I can't. I'm not very coordinated. So other types of video games are very difficult for me. But I like Pikmin and like Mario Party and Mario Kart and Nintendo 3D World. And I also played Child of Light. That's a real game, right? That's. But yeah, and I don't really play any mobile games anymore, but I used to play like Candy Crush and what's that game called, Ellie? Subway Surfers? Yeah, Subway Surfers. I used to play those games. So,
as some of you may guess, I play an awful lot of games. I have a sim cockpit I built, so I play a lot of PC games. I'm currently playing a lot of Elite Dangerous. I play MechWarrior Online. I could go down the list. I have 300-400 games in my Steam library. I have 3 binders of PC games. I have a 360. I have a Wii. I have 5 gaming PCs in my apartment, my little tiny 600 square foot apartment. So, I can't even list all the games I play, and that's not
games.
That's not including the 2 bookcases full of pen and paper RPG books I've got. So, yeah, I kind of game a little bit, just a little.
I really like fighting games. My favorite fighting game of all time is Guilty Gear. I don't know if any of you guys play that. Well, I play Accent Core and Xrd mostly. I play competitive Pokemon. Used to play competitive Smash, just don't have as much time for that anymore. Mobile games, I'm really addicted to Love Live. If any of you have heard of that, it's like a rhythm game but it also has like an element where you like level up your idols. It's really, really cool. And I've also been playing Dead or Alive 5 Last Round because I voiced a character in that, so I kind of had to get it.
Recently, Destiny has been taking everything I've owned. All my time is going into that. Before that time, in the dark time, was a lot of Steam. I just bought Child of Light, so I'm doing that. Really good game, try it out. But I played some competitive Smash, a little Melee, a little 3DS. Not Brawl though, not a fan of that one.
Brawl was the worst of all.
I know some people like it, but I personally don't. You're entitled to your opinion.
that was a fun question.
I do like a lot of first-person shooters on the PC, and I find it a lot easier on the PC, but pretty much anything competitive, you'll probably see me in.
What's my favorite non-MLP cartoon? Yeah, got it. Okay. Does anyone else have a straight, like, right away answer? I like a lot of cartoons.
I actually do.
Okay, go.
I'm a huge fan at the moment of Star Wars Rebels.
I heard that was good.
It's actually really good, yeah.
What about you?
Does anime count in that?
Sure it does.
Okay, because regular cartoons, I was gonna say King of the Hill, but in terms of anime, I'm like ridiculously obsessed with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I have a tattoo of it. My friends kind of disown me for how obsessed I am with that series.
I guess Adventure Time. That's so like predictable, but yeah, I think that's probably my favorite. Probably my favorite. Yeah. Any other questions? How much time do we have till the panel's up? 15. Oh, thanks.
We actually
Chris
got
is
about
on
10
top
minutes.
of it.
Well,
Okay.
we can drift a little further if we
Yeah.
have longer questions, but
Is there this is actually also for the male identified people, is there been a backlash then with the kind of opening up that whole definition of gender and having My Little Pony change our culture? Is there now a backlash against that? Is that happening?
I thought this is for
that-
male identifying people.
I think that would be, I don't know.
That'd be
I don't
you
see
and
it.
you.
Yeah, I don't see it. That's for I would say I think there probably is. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Do you have an answer?
So the question was, just to make sure, the question was, do male bronies get backlash from other things? Was that?
It seemed like there was this big opening, and now I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop and there to be a kind of a.
Oh, like you saw the backlash from females, now you're waiting for the backlash of males, I guess? Is that what?
Or do you mean just a backlash from society in general?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's pretty present as it is. No, it's okay.
It is pretty present. I actually don't get it much myself. In fact, I think probably somewhere at this con are some of my coworkers who I managed to convince to come and watch the show and then come to the con. So I don't get it as much. But then again, I live here, so I'm probably not the best person to speak to.
I can answer this question then. When watching EQG, there should have been terms and agreement saying pretty much everyone else on the internet will hate you after becoming a brony. I'm not gonna lie. Cause anyone have iFunny on their phone? Watch that a little, or Tumblr for all that. I love looking up fan art in other communities such as Reddit, iFunny, Tumblr. But every time I go to comment saying this is good art, there's always backlash. There's I can't say it because of the children, but they're pretty rude jokes. There are a lot of stereotypes that we fall into. The list goes endless about what they call us.
I actually have a little story about this. I had a former coworker crashing on my couch for about 6 months. Totally an anti-brony. Totally anti-brony.
What?
Yeah, sleeping on my couch too. That didn't last for very long because, recently, like within about 2 months of crashing on my couch, he joined the herd. So, I mean, part of that backlash actually comes from people who don't watch the show. Mm-hmm. And I think the easiest way to combat that, if folks are interested in that, is to kindly, convince them just to watch one episode.
That's how I actually got into the herd. Yeah. My friend, I didn't want anything to do with the brony community. I was never pick on anybody or anything, but
And now here you are on a panel.
I know.
I have a good sneak in. One of my friends was the whole, I like monster trucks, I like coffee, soda, big hua guy who actually didn't lift much weights, but he acted really strong. And then just to kind of sort of mess him up, I slipped in a video saying, this is a really cool music video. It's called Rainbow Rocks. It's a good, it was the Let's Have a Battle. And then he was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm like, so are you enjoying it? He goes, yeah. It's like, what is this? My Little Pony.
I've definitely seen people get into it through music too, because I used to play like Pony Step for friends in my car and stuff, and they were like very much like, oh, I don't want anything to do with My Little Pony, and they'd be like, this is a really cool song, who's it by? And then they'd kind of have to realize.
It's by Twilight Sparkle.
Sorry. Yeah. But getting on to the original question, as a male, I can fully say you will receive backlash. Because, of course, like people say, it is a show that was originally meant for little girls. But at the same time, what best we can do is ignore it. Like they say, don't feed the troll. If someone does comment on whatever your arts or whatever you guys make, or just in general give you hate comments, please ignore it. Please ignore it. Because you will only cause more comments, more hate.
Do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely do what makes you happy, but also remember one of the kind of the tenets of the brony community, which is one of the things that got me into the community, even after being a fan of the show and then not wanting to be a part of the fandom, and that is love and tolerate.
Also, to be fair, I mean, women get backlash for practically every fandom we join, so
Hey,
you know,
yeah,
it's not like
it's
something
only,
that's new to us.
I was gonna say it's only fair, right? It's time for the guys to get some backlash.
I mean, ideally, nobody would get any backlash because of
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Precisely,
That's
precisely.
what we want. No one backlash ever. Everyone likes things. Yes.
Now I really have to know what the episode was that you watched.
I watched the pilot. I know. It was a trick, you see, because I started the first episode and then it ended, and then by then I was like, this show is so dumb, but like it's a cliffhanger. Like I was like, well, I gotta see how this. I can't say bad words. How this stuff ends, and so then I like by the end I was like, well. The purple one is really annoying, but
Just one more episode, right?
yeah,
you just gotta have
exactly.
one more
I'll just like give it a try, and then what's the next episode? The Ticketmaster, Pinkie Pie. I was like, ooh, I think I like this one. Kept going.
Yeah, I was made a bet by my boyfriend, basically to watch the first 5 episodes, and then if I still didn't like the series, he'd never mention it again. A couple days later, I was moving into the end of season 2. So yeah, I think I'm hooked.
Yeah.
How do you start?
I think the first episode that I ever saw was Running of the Leaves. It was a very long time ago, but I remember people originally told me, I didn't really get what the whole thing was. I saw like my friends, including my male friends, changing their profile pictures on Facebook and stuff. And then people kept telling me, because I've been voice acting for like 10 years, so people were like, you sound like the main character in this show. Like a lot of voices you do sound like the purple one. I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
So like I said before, it was EQG that first got me into what was the My Little Pony, and then after that it was I was pretty sure the videos would be copyrighted, even though at the time they weren't. So I looked at instead the fandom, a lot of fan animations, and then I was looking at some of these. I was like, okay, these are actually well animated. This is pretty good. And then I found what was it, Party Mauve?
Oh no!
I was in that.
That was one of the first ones you watched.
And then, because that's at this time I was just watching the human versions because I was still iffy about the whole pony thing.
Yeah.
And then I saw Party Mauve, like, this is actually kind of funny. Twisted, if you're under, I'd say 16, do not watch it.
Oh my gosh.
Twisted but funny. And then after that, I started Ponies, and surprisingly, first episode was actually what was that one? Rarity Goes to Canterlot with the.
Pony every.
Pony every.
The song is
Pony every pony should know.
Yeah,
What's it called, guys?
Suited for Success?
Suited
you
for
go.
Success.
No, isn't it Sweet and Elite? It is. Yeah, it is Sweet and Elite. Suited for Success is the one of the best episodes. She makes all the dresses. But
okay.
the one where she goes to Canterlot is Sweet and Elite. You're right. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then after
That's a good
that,
episode.
I ended up binging like every single episode, even though I knew I had to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and watching episode after episode after episode.
Cute. That's a really funny way to get into the fandom. I haven't
is
heard
a
of
little-
that before.
Kind of a little backwards.
I
I
watched
think.
Pony.mov.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah. Well, let's make it a really good one. Who's got a really great one? I see a little tiny hand. Is that a tiny hand? Yeah, in the back. Who's our favorite what character? Oh, Cutie Mark. That's cute. My favorite is Sweetie Belle.
I have to say, honorary Cutie Mark Crusader Babs.
Oh.
I like Sweetie Belle also. Very cute.
All right, I think we have time for one more.
Sure,
You
one
didn't
more.
answer yet.
Can I just say?
One more question. Yeah, we totally forgot the guys are at the end.
I'm sorry.
I still exist. I want to say Scootaloo, mainly for the episode of God damn it, I can't remember any episodes, but where it's clearly point where she can't fly. And I think it's a beautiful episode. It's like, but I can't fly, and Rainbow Dash goes, so what? That was a great scene.
Yeah, that's a really good
That means you have
episode.
to say Apple Bloom because Apple Bloom doesn't have any love yet.
Okay, I love Apple Bloom.
Best background CMC.
Yeah. Oh, favorite princess. Okay, we're going like typical pony questions now. Cool. You guys go first. I gotta think about this.
Oh, that's a good question. Who's best princess? I mean, we have four options. So, and five if you listen to Rarity for a few moments.
Can we say Mary Sue?
Poor guy.
I don't think so. No, I'd have to probably say Celestia. Just look at what she's had to go through in her lifetime.
Yeah, I think for the same reasons I like Luna. I mean, look at what she's had to go through. To the moon and all that. Very sad. She's very... I hope that we get to see more of her, like, actual character.
Princess Twilight Sparkle.
Oh, shut up.
Cop out. I like Luna because from what the fandom has made, she has amazingly good backstory, which although does not exist in canon, is still pretty good.
Yeah, the fanon for Luna. Yeah, yet. There's no canon on it yet. Let's. Yes.
They don't kill her off.
Yet. All right. Any other typical pony questions, or shall we wrap it up?
Can we do best pony?
Oh.
Who's best pony?
All right. Best pony or favorite pony? There is a difference.
Oh, actually.
Best is Applejack for sure.
I don't know. I think my best pony is 20% cooler. That would be Rainbow Dash.
Ugh.
My favorite pony doesn't have a whole lot of canon backstory as well, but she is here in the audience. Would you stand up and show everyone your toothbrush?
My favorite pony is probably Pinkie Pie. Can I get some? No, never mind.
That's my favorite, but who's best pony?
Well, it's 'cause- well, I think she's best pony too. Well, it's because if you remember, my favorite episode is Party of One, in which Pinkie Pie thinks her friends don't like her anymore, and you just see her like throughout the entire thing. It's like, oh, she's the funny person, no personality, and then Party of One, she has layers.
All of her
personality.
episodes are like that. It's really great. That's my issue with Pinkie Pie is that when she's not the focus in the center of like the episode, she tends to lose those layers that make her great.
Sure.
So that's why she's my favorite, but not best. Applejack is pretty consistently great.
Yeah. Right, I think that's probably all the time we have. It sounds like somebody's a little not so happy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, for coming. This was real fun.
Indeed. Thank you. And every pony have a great con.
Yeah.